were created here at Tallahassee Notary. When I first found myself in the business, I really wanted a way to network and communicate with other notaries, a way to meet other notaries where we could not only support one another, but also our business. You know, I joke that when people ask me how I got into the notary business, that I always knew I wanted to be a notary public when I grew up. You know, says nobody ever. So Notary Nosh is our way that we can get together as notaries and network as well as have fun. Every month we have a new theme. I did just want to point out that Notary Noshes are donation based. If anybody gets what it's like to be starting as a notary public, to be a mom as a notary public, to supporting yourself as a notary public, it's me. So let's keep this donation based. Here are some links to our Cash App. It's at Tally Notary. PayPal is at Tallahassee Notary, and a Square link as well. Thank you. Every little bit is appreciated. And I also just wanted to point out that I would appreciate it, and the whole Tallahassee Notary team would appreciate it if you follow us on social media. Instagram is Tallahassee Notary, Facebook, Tally Notary, blog, tallynotary.wordpress.com, Twitter is at Tally Notary, and TikTok is at Tallahassee Notary. We will be updating our social media regarding upcoming events, especially our March Notary Nosh, which will be on wedding officiant services. So we couldn't have Tallahassee Notary and these amazing Notary Noshes without the Tallahassee Notary team. So I just wanted to give a quick intro of the team that makes us. We have Amber White, who is the marketing social media co-director as well as videographer. Sophia Jimenez, editorial director and fluent in Spanish. Colin Riley, marketing and social media co-director, as well as video editor. Nayli Hayford Jackson, she is our intern from Florida State University, of which I'm an alumni of, go Noles. She focuses on our writing, editing, specifically of our blog posts. If you haven't already, be sure to check out our blog. She's also fluent in Italian. And last but not least, we have Paola Gonzalez, who is our director of translation services. We translate documents in 52 different languages, and Paola is the brains behind that. She's also fluent in Spanish. So let's go ahead and dive right in here. All right. So what exactly is an apostille? And furthermore, how do you pronounce it? So an apostille is a form of authentication issued to documents for use in countries that participate in the Hague Convention of 1961. So what I wanted to do is share with you guys a site that includes all 90 of the countries that are part of the convention. The website's listed here. It's hcch.net. Again, this just kind of gives you an idea of how many countries have to have documents apostilled. Wanted to share that with you guys. And furthermore, just to make a note, even though a country isn't listed in the convention or the map that was just shown, they still have to have the document then certified. If it's not apostilled, it still needs to be certified in some way, shape, or form. We're going to talk about that in just a few moments. So fun little tidbit, the nerd in me just can't help herself. So it's actually a French word. Apostille is a French word meaning marginal annotation or note. Fun fact of the day. Hopefully it won't be your only fun fact of the day, but here we go. So as I was recently saying, if the country of intended use does not participate in the Hague Convention, then the document still has to be authenticated or certified through the Secretary of State's office. The Secretary of State's office also is the only office in every state that provides apostille and authentication services. I'm going to repeat that. So there's only one office in every state that is able to provide apostille and authentication of documents, and that is going to be the Secretary of State's office that is located in your state capital. So during our Notary Nosh, we had a few questions from a few of our fellow notaries, you know, regarding how legit it was that it's only the Secretary of State's office. What about vital records? So if you go to the U.S. Department of State's website, I'm looking at travel.state.gov all the way to apostille requirements. You'll note that in order to obtain a U.S. Department of State issued apostille requirement, so that means any federal document, et cetera, they refer you to the U.S. Department of State's site. However, for state issued requirements, they're only issued by the competent authority. All right. So again, the competent authority is going to be the Secretary of State's office. If you guys want to look through that in your spare time, feel free to. Hopefully that'll answer any questions that, again, came across during the Notary Nosh, and go straight to the point where, yes, indeed, perhaps the vital records need to be taken care of in another office, but they still need to be apostilled by the Secretary of State's office, which is going to be located in the Capitol. So what are some of the type of documents that need to be apostilled? As you can see, they're anywhere from company bylaws and articles of incorporation, power of attorneys, diplomas, transcripts, letters relating to degrees, marital status, references and job certification, home studies, deeds of assignments, and even papers for adoption purposes. So in other words, if you could think of a document, chances are it needs to be apostilled if it's being used for international purposes. However, there is a unique way to ensure that they are apostilled correctly and aren't kicked back by the Secretary of State. So this brings us back to the almighty question, who can apostille documents? Again, that's going to be the Secretary of State. There's only one for every state. And I think it's important to note that there's really no such thing as an apostille agent. You don't even have to be a notary public to offer apostille services. It definitely makes the process a whole lot easier if you are one, because that way you can notarize the document for your client and or can correct the notarization if need be. Again, check out the State Department's website if y'all have any questions on that. I said y'all. Did I mention I'm from Tallahassee, born and raised? Okay. So why is it so hard to learn about apostille services? First and foremost, it's not an easy process to learn. So I started offering apostille services shortly after I opened up Tallahassee Notary in 2020. And I was amazed by the lack of literature, by the lack of training, by the lack of just knowledge that this even existed. I actually had a client bring it to my attention before I started offering these services. So I think that one of the reasons, another reason, not only the fact that it's not an easy process to learn, there's also like nothing out there. If you try to YouTube it, you know, be my guest, do your own research. I believe just recently there was a handbook that was published. However, how do they really break down the process? I'll let you be the judge. And then geographically, I think another reason is that only individuals and or companies located in the state capital could offer these services, kind of, and or you gain a good connection in the state capital that is able to do the apostille runs for you and that knows what they're doing. So what are some of the pros of incorporating apostille services to your notary business? That is another almighty question. All right. So I'm sure many of you joining us here are loan signing agents. Think about money, think about the investment. With the right networking, offering apostille services, you can make anywhere from $50 to $200 per document. There's less investment on materials needed, like a printer, paper. Also, there's less paperwork in general than loan closings. You know, you're not dealing with 200 plus pages that you need to keep track of, keep organized, etc. Also, there's less wear and tear on your car. There's no need to figure out where you're going. How many other loan signing agents have been on Google Maps trying to figure out where in the world is this closing? Thank goodness I got here 10 minutes beforehand, 15 minutes beforehand. No need to figure out where to go because the apostille process is a repeated process. So you're constantly either going to the FedEx office to deliver the documents to your contact located at the state capitol, and or you yourself are going to the state capitol. Also, helping international clients. So this is something that I did want to touch on. Being a first generation Cuban Venezuelan American, Spanish being my first language. I really feel a connection with international clients, and being bilingual is also a plus. Yo puedo hablar en español con mis clientes, and because of that, they feel a lot more natural speaking to me, more confident. And also it goes back to my passion, right? Helping others, but especially helping others that go back to my roots, like international clients. There's much more of a bond that's formed. Let's take a look at some of the cons. Again, there's only one state office that can provide these services in the state that you're located in. So what does that mean? You have to have a good contact that lives in the capital. But just because you have a contact that lives in the capital doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy. You want to make sure that you ask them the type of experience that they have offering apostille services. Keep in mind that every state has their own laws. They are very specific when dealing with these laws, and it will get kicked back. Take it from me. If you don't do something exactly as is required, it will get kicked back, and there's no real guideline that, I'm aware of. Feel free to email me and or mention it on our group page on Facebook. That allows you, unless you have training one-on-one through somebody like, let's say, Tallahassee Notary, to help you through the process. And again, while it was a pro to be as intimate with international clients, some might take that actually as a con. It's not like a loan closing that you just, deal with the client one time, it's over in an hour or less. This is something that is drawn out. And if you do a good job, you're going to have a repeat number of documents coming through from the same client. So this is when we had a breakout session where we asked the notaries that joined us both in person and online, should you include apostille services? And if so, how would you market them? Feel free to contact me if you have any ideas and or just wanted to brainstorm with me. That brings me to our Tallahassee Notary Apostille team. So we do have an apostille team that we are in the process of putting together. In order to apply, you must be a commissioned notary. It can be in any state. I will note that bilingual applicants do have priority. Again, dealing with international clients, being bilingual is definitely a plus. However, please don't feel as though if you're not bilingual, you cannot or should not apply. And last but not least, if you're interested, you can go to our link tree. That's Tallahassee Notary. The hyperlink is listed here, or you can email me at info@tallinotary.com. So I hope you've really enjoyed this Notary Nosh on apostille services. Our next Notary Nosh will be held on Wednesday, March 23rd, 6:30 to 7:30. And the theme is going to be on officiating weddings, specifically in the post-pandemic era. A lot of changes have been made since the pandemic. I have had the opportunity to write several articles for the award-winning Tallahassee Women magazine, who I also happen to be the relationship manager for regarding wedding trends. I've also officiated over 75 bilingual weddings in North Florida and South Georgia, and would love to discuss with my fellow notaries some of the pros and cons and tips that I've learned along the way. Hope you can join us. Once again, follow us on social media. Here are all of our handles: Instagram, Tallahassee Notary; Facebook is Tally Notary; Twitter, Tally Notary; and TikTok, Tallahassee Notary. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.